Welcome to this live stream. My name is Haas. It's good to be here with you. I see some people in the chat. I see Evil Steven. I see Tessa. I see Martin. Thank you guys for commenting and engaging with the stream. It's very hot today. I think it's about close to 90 degrees with like the heat index or whatever. Like the actual temperature is about 85 Fahrenheit. It's sunny out, but luckily I have this slightly shaded area here. And I'm continuing on with the social experiment model, basically holding this sign that says, "Come participate in a social experiment." And my goal is just to have some conversations with people and convince them to have compassion for animals. So without further ado, go ahead and get started. So I'm just basically holding this sign, "Come participate in a social experiment." Thank you to people for joining. And I'm going to hold this sign and see if I can get some people to stop here in Chicago and have a conversation with me. UK Freedom Fighter is here. Thank you for being here. So if you guys have any suggestions for a particular prompt for me to use today, feel free to let me know. I think I might go with the burning hypothetical, I guess, just like asking people what they think about the idea of burn testing, like burning animals, and kind of go from there. So it'll be a pretty chill and somewhat short stream, I think. Not planning on going much more than probably like 30 minutes or so. So I have not seen the movie Fight Club, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with the vegan sign guy, James, but he has this concept that he's been talking about where we kind of just go do vegan activism when we're, away from our day-to-day job and life and stuff like that. So in the spirit of that, I've got about half an hour here, and I figure why not try to get some conversations, talk to people about animals. Something I really loved about Cubes of Truth was that I would always, get to have these engaging conversations with the public about animals and animal rights, and I think that this, live streaming capability here on YouTube really just makes that all the more prevalent. So let's see what we can make happen here. It is extremely hot, and I think I can provide people a little bit of shade if they come and talk to me. So that might be a little bit of an incentive here. And again, I'm just basically holding the sign that says, "Come participate in a social experiment." The goal is to get some people talking about animals. So we'll see if anybody's willing to participate, and might have some good conversations. We'll see. We got people looking, people interested. I see Jake in the chat. I think, Jake, you were streaming earlier. I was coming in and out of there. Merhaba to you. It's almost maybe even hotter today than the day that I did the heat wave stream. But I've got some shade here, and I've been hydrating well. I haven't done really any exercise today, so my reserves are up. My energy is good. My electrolytes and minerals, all that stuff is topped up. We've got a comment from Gabriel Castro that says, "I'll do it if you pay me." Gabriel, this is a completely free exchange. So it's just basically, I'm not asking anybody for anything other than an open mind, and then, vice versa, basically. But I do appreciate the offer. So we'll see. Sometimes it's a little bit of a waiting game here before somebody pops in for a discussion. Hopefully everybody's been having a good day. And, earlier I kind of was just scrolling through the different lives here on YouTube, and it's quite insane, like, the different stuff that people are streaming. Yeah, it's just it's really amazing actually how much live streams have taken off. Alicia is here. Hi, Alicia. Glad to have you here. And Jake says that he'll be streaming tomorrow, or back tomorrow, I assume streaming. So Jake actually does very similar kind of outreach for animals and live streams. So do check out his channel also. And we'll see if we get anybody to stop. I'm kind of right next to some. I don't know if I can flip my camera here. I think I can. Yeah. So I got some people right across from me who are doing this is like a Bible related thing. I think it's like Mormonism maybe, or no, actually I think it's what do you call it? Jehovah's Witness thing. I think possibly, but yeah. So I'm kind of set up right next to them, which. I guess I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it affects whether or not people stop. Usually, this time of day, people are a little bit less likely to stop. Usually in the evening, people are a little bit more likely to stop. But we will see. We will see. Lisa says, "Hey Martin, it's so hot outside, especially for outreach. Brave. It is. It is hot, but quite honestly, it's not. It's not that bad. It's. I'm in the shade. It's relatively humid, but it's all right. And if anybody's just joining, my name is Oz. I'm holding this sign, trying to get people to have compassion for animals and have a discussion with me. So I'm going to kind of ease people into that conversation, and hopefully we can get some people to make a change and start living with more compassion for fellow living beings. We all talk a good deal about how everybody's a human, it's a fellow human, that kind of thing. But would you like to participate? All right, great. Would you mind coming? I'm actually live on YouTube right now. So my name is Haz, and it's very hot today, right? Yeah, and I'm wondering. So I'd like to kind of ask you guys what you think about something that I learned about recently. So I've learned that in some burn research, the researchers were actually testing this research on dogs, and basically like shaving a part of a dog and then burning the dog with a metal plate. Yeah, what do you guys think about that? Like, do you think that that's something that should be happening in order for burn research to be able to develop like maybe better burn treatments for humans, or do you think that that's kind of like
It's animal cruelty.
cruelty and
Yeah,
it shouldn't happen?
I'm not for animal testing, but I can see how testing it on humans would also be kind of
That's bad too.
problematic. I wonder if there's a way to figure out a blanket treatment that goes to hospitals when there are burn victims that come in, versus just actively trying to find. That would make research a little. Sorry. Sorry.
No worries.
A little less,
He's on it. Okay.
Productive.
Yeah.
But,
That was pretty hilarious.
Sorry.
Gotta admit. No worries at all. Thanks so much. All right. So I guess so you would prefer to do research in a way that doesn't harm animals, right? Yeah. So I guess I'm wondering if if like what is it about that testing on animals? I guess like if the dogs, let's say, like didn't feel any pain, for example, would you have an issue with it then? Or if maybe you mentioned like a human context, like maybe if the dogs could consent to it, like if they could say like, yes, we give our lives, we kind of submit our bodies in the service of humankind. Um, would you view it at least slightly more favorably compared to just like rounding up dogs and shaving them and pressing plates on them?
I would have a hard time thinking how would we get a dog to do that.
Hypothetically, like if a dog could hypothetically consent to it, or let's say there was a human who saw something like on the train and it was like research subjects needed, we pay you $2,000, and then they inquire and they're informed about what's going to happen and then they participate. That'd definitely be preferable, right?
Yeah, I would say that would be more. I think I like the word consent in there, but it's hard to say. It's like if I consented my dog, it's still
if you use your dog like property and submitted them, sure, that's a different thing. That's kind of similar to like what we see with like dog fighting, for example.
Exactly. So that's a hard one.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So there are parts of the world where people eat dogs.
Mm-hmm.
If people like ate the dogs afterwards, would you view it differently? Like, would you say it might be okay then?
I don't know.
What if the victims were cows? Like if the burn research was being tested on cows?
I see how that opens up a can of worms there. We already do so much to cows.
Yeah.
I don't know. From my opinion, I feel like we have a lot of money and resources, and I feel like a lot of these big pharma like companies, they're taking a cheap way out. So like, oh, why not just using a dog instead of like them developing like a real artificial like skin for like humans, you know, and then test it like that versus like, oh, let's get a dog. It's cheap, like he's in a homeless shelter or etc. And I just think it's wrong. Even if you do a cow or a dog, no
And
matter
would
what.
that skin, I mean, if, as far as research, would that skin be comparable to human skin?
That's a great point you raised.
So is it even worth that type of research?
Yeah, the replicability of it, science depends on the ability to replicate results.
Exactly.
So I guess I'd like to just pivot, if I could, to ask you what you think. So I appreciate, your willingness to engage in this thought experiment about vivisection or like animal-based research. I'm wondering what you think about animals being forced into slaughterhouses, to which they're not consenting, for example, for unnecessary foods. If you accept that it's unnecessary, I mean, which I would posit in the West for anybody in Chicago, it would be unnecessary to eat animals' bodies when we have an abundance of plants available.
That's a hard one because I mean.
And I'd like if you could view it kind of detached from maybe your day-to-day habits or lifestyle, because of course it's easier to have motivated reasoning when we're engaging in something that we maybe want to continue doing.
Yeah.
So I'd ask if you could engage in a way where maybe you're just viewing it purely in the theoretical, but kind of just engaging it with like intellectual honesty. Not to say that you're not being honest, but just kind of like maybe a little primer to think about it.
I would say at the rate and the quantity that we're doing slaughterhouse, like animals,
5,000 animals a second.
Yeah, is pretty insane. I mean, I always wonder when you go to the grocery store if all that meat is actually being eaten.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they say now it's better to go to like a local farmer's market or a more smaller mom and pop like butcher, because like at least like they're not in the mass quantities like in Costco or the Jewel. But it's a tough one. I would say it's not great. I hate to see it. We had kind of gone through our different forms of diets of like no meats and going pescatarian, and then learning about how with even salmon, like the amount, like if we could all just reduce the amount of fish that we eat, that could help the fish ecosystems. It's all just a slippery slope, honestly.
Yeah, and my purpose here is to get people just to think about their own values and what kind of behaviors would stem from the values that they have. I think that good people, when they're given the information, will make the right choice.
Yes.
I just think that unfortunately a lot of us get caught in this kind of selfish mindset where we're focused on how we can benefit. It's almost this nature of humans, like intrinsically part and parcel with humanity, to just try to exploit, whether it's exploiting the earth, exploiting other animals, exploiting fellow humans.
We prefer to do everything low waste. Like we usually buy like whatever we eat that day. It's like we buy, unfortunately, still buying from the bigger box stores. We like to buy like that day and eat it instead of wasting it. Like we feel so bad like having things go to waste. And it goes like same thing. Like if you went out to eat and like you didn't finish all the chicken, that part of that chicken went to waste. If you died for
I see where you're coming from. I would still posit though that the waste happened when the life of the animal was taken. If you think about it,
it is not a required. Our bodies don't require meat per se.
Absolutely not.
We can live off it.
Yeah, I've been eating animals in 14 years. I've been vegan for almost 13 years, and there's the widest, biggest academy of nutritionists and dietitians, which is it's not like a vegan organization. It's the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. They have a position paper on plant-based diets where they say they're a well-planned diet that's fully plant-based can be appropriate for all stages of life: infancy, pregnancy, adulthood. I have friends who were vegan throughout their pregnancy and raising their children as well, and raising their children vegan. Of course, veganism, it's hard to raise a child vegan per se, because it's when I say it's hard, I don't mean from a nutritional standpoint, but I mean from a philosophical standpoint, because a child can't be vegan any more than they can be, let's say, a feminist or an anti-racist.
Right, they don't
understand the idea of I mean, heck, you can't even get most humans to understand. Most humans think it's a diet.
It's a lifestyle.
It's not even a lifestyle. It's actually a way of viewing the world, and then committing to just honoring that view through your actions. So it's basically viewing other animals as the beings who they are, the individuals who they are, without wanting to commodify or turn them into property, whether that's for like food, entertainment, animal testing, experiments, clothing, that kind of thing. So it does seem like a high ideal to strive for because of the world that we live in. But I would actually posit that it's the least we could do. I would posit that it's the moral baseline, because it's just basically, this harm is happening, I'm not going to participate in it. Of course, it seems like the lay of the land is so skewed right now because of how many people are on the side that's dominating, oppressing, coercing, subjugating other animals. So it seems like a huge uphill battle, and it is. But I'm grateful for people like you guys who do come at it from a compassionate perspective, and have an open mind, and seek more information, and have the curiosity, even just to come up to somebody with a sign and you don't know what this is about, if I'm going to start hitting you guys up for money or whatever. So I do appreciate you guys stopping. And before I let you go, I guess I'll just ask how many animals you would want exploited and killed for you before you hopefully do remove yourself from the consumption of them, whether it's from a small or a large kind of operation.
I would obviously love now, like none. That definitely, after this conversation, definitely makes me more mindful of how we're going to be shopping at the grocery store, and how much more plant-based we will be versus animal products.
Yeah, it's really sobering, when you think about every animal, every piece of flesh that you see in a grocery store, kind of coming from a living, breathing animal. It's literally like the representation of the violence. But I also want you guys to think about like the quote unquote dairy products, things like that, might even result in prolonged cruelty, because those animals are just basically waiting to get slaughtered, and then they're being milked for all they have, literally, in the process. And if you think about eggs, for example, I don't know if you ever thought of this, but since the males don't lay eggs, the industry just kills them. They get like either blended up or live, suffocated. Not even chicken nuggets, more like dog and cat food, probably more. Possibly. But yeah, I mean, like if you think just those little baby cute yellow chicks, they just go on a conveyor belt. The people say male, female, and then the males just get literally put into a wood chipper. It's absolutely insane. It's an abusive industry. And if you think about like even the adults, like pigs, cows, the job of having to kill them is like, those people have higher rates of like drug addiction, domestic violence, all sorts of things. And the highest rate of worker recidivism, or like kind of people getting hurt in the job and having to quit, the turnover is highest in the slaughterhouse kill floor worker.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Yeah, and it's sometimes a job that governments will force like refugees into and things like that, because it's like nobody wants to do it. Not even the people who are doing it want to do it.
Crazy.
So I'd like to give you guys some information if I could. This is from an organization called Vegan Outreach, and it just has some information on how we can start treating animals as the sentient beings they are. There's a vegan starter guide you can access on the back there. And I'd also like to tell you guys about a documentary called Dominion. If you search on YouTube, Dominion 2018, you'll find this documentary. It was filmed in mostly Australia, or maybe exclusively Australia, but basically it's undercover footage of slaughterhouses. And it's not this like kind of sensationalized highlight reel of the worst things that happen or anything like that. It's basically just tracking the standard practices. So you can actually see kind of what happens. And of course, the animals who are like raised on small farms, etc., they all get taken to the same slaughterhouses. Like I've stood outside of slaughterhouses where you'll see, the big trucks coming with like, tons, maybe 200 animals in it. But then you'll see, Farmer John driving up with his dog in his seat next to him in his truck, and then, a lone cow in a trailer behind. So it might even, you might even think of it as a greater betrayal for those animals, because if an animal's received nothing but love, and then they're like, where am I? What's happening? And animals are screaming and bleeding out and stuff around them. It's pretty terrifying. I think our minds actually protect us from really being able to completely grapple, with the reality of getting attacked by a knife or put into a CO2 gas chamber and boiled alive and all that kind of stuff that happens literally like every minute of every day. So thank you guys for stopping, and I hope you'll check out that information. And if you have any concerns from a nutritional perspective, there's a group called Challenge 22, and they hook you up with a nutritionist or dietitian, and it's a free support group. For 22 days, they can basically work with you to help you tackle any kind of like nutritional blind spots, or maybe not blind spot, but like, anything that, if you're like, where do I get vitamin E or something like that, they can tell you, like hazelnuts, sesame seeds, stuff like that.
Hey, it was nice meeting you.
Yeah, thank you guys for stopping, and yeah, thank you. Stay cool and have a great day. Yep, thank you. All right, well, that was a good conversation. Let's see what people in the chat said. Awesome suggested Challenge 22. You are a Chippy friend, aren't you? I don't know if that's talking to me, but if you're talking about Chip, that Chip guy, yes, I would consider Chip a friend. Chip is a really solid activist. He's doing amazing work. He, actually seeing Chip just kind of going steady. Man, we've had so many sirens. But yeah, Chip does very inspiring work. I'm going to go ahead and hold the sign again. I don't have too much time left right now, but I'm going to try to see if I can get another person to stop and talk. Probably we'll have to wrap up in about 15 minutes. Let me answer a question on here. So let me hold the sign. So I'm kind of feeding two birds with one stone. Atha says, what is the purpose of becoming vegan? The purpose of becoming vegan is, I see it, I don't see it as a way to reduce suffering in the world. I actually see it as a way to reclaim our humanity. So I see it as a way to basically put our values into action, or basically to put our actions where our hearts are. So I see it as a way to basically increase social harmony and increase the amount of safety that we have with each other as human beings. Because if you look around the world, just think about this, if you look around the world and think, every single person around me is against treating someone else, and yes, animals are someone's, as an object, how much more would you trust other people? And how much less violent crime would we have between humans if everybody literally just respects, like, if we convince people to have respect for fishes, have respect for chickens, then I think that we would have a world where the amount of respect we have for each other's bodily autonomy, would increase multiple fold, like more than we could ever imagine. So that's really my goal. My goal is not to rid the world of suffering. I think that suffering is part and parcel with pain. You can't have one without the other. And I'm a huge proponent of rewilding. So if that means that there are more forests that humans aren't burning or cutting down, and more lions and more gazelles being eaten, I'm honestly not trying to change that. My goal with veganism, again, is to stop viewing other animals as property, and to help more people commit to putting that viewpoint into action. So that's not the viewpoint that some people who call themselves vegan have, but I would say that that's more like utilitarianism, to try to kind of police the world and try to control like what other people or what other species of animals are doing. We got some people stopping. Hello, would you like to participate? All right, great. Can you come on into the view here? Okay, so I'm live on YouTube right now. And are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay, great. So basically, I don't have too much time right now, but I want to kind of ask you some questions and kind of see how you would think about this thought experiment, and then try to kind of extrapolate some questions from that. So I'm not trying to like catch you up or anything like that, but just kind of only asking that you come at it with an open mind.
Okay.
All right, so it's very hot out today, as you might agree. And I'm wondering what you would think about research that involves burn victims, where dogs in this research were basically like they had their hair shaven at some part, and then had a hot plate, like a burn inflicted
Like
upon
a
them.
brand?
Yeah, basically, for research. So these researchers basically were trying to see how the dog would heal. So they basically were like burning a dog in order to see, to try to, come up with maybe solutions to help burn victims, like human burn victims. I'm wondering what you think about like the morality or like the right or wrongness of that.
Honestly, I don't see how burning or harming an animal can equate to helping a human. I don't feel like that's ethical. And honestly, I don't see how a person can sit there and see that this animal is in pain and then constantly keep inflicting it and claim that it's for the better of mankind. Because how is harming animals the better for mankind?
Well, I mean, somebody could counter and just say that this is burn research for humans, and these animals are test subjects. They've been bred for experiments, and that's their purpose. And this is going to create better solutions and maybe cosmetic surgery solutions and things like that for humans.
Yeah, but you can counter that and say that's why vegans are vegan because they see what people do to animals and so they choose not to eat animals. But I mean, it's I guess it comes to personal perspective, maybe like depending on the person. Some people have morals. Some people don't feel pain. Like some people just are detached from the world because that's just kind of world we live in. But I don't see how. I don't morally. I know me personally that would bother me.
Yeah, and you mentioned vegans, and I think that is something that vegans would be against.
Hmm.
How do you feel about veganism?
Honestly, I have considered going vegan. Um, Mostly because I just feel like it's the world is changing a lot. It's 2025. I just feel like it might be healthier for all of us if we really looked into what we were eating and made better, healthier choices. So I have
But
considered becoming
you
vegan.
can be really unhealthy as a vegan too, though, right? If you just ate
You
like
can, because I don't know a lot about it. So I'm like very in the early stages of trying to figure out what it means to be vegan, how to make sure you're still getting your protein and getting all of the nutrients that you need. So I don't know a lot about it yet.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're talking to me. So I've been vegan for almost 13 years. I stopped eating animals about 2 years before that, and my way that I would communicate what being vegan is that it's a way that we basically see other animals as ends in and of themselves rather than a means to an end. So that kind of covers all the uses, right? When we see a beaver, we don't think I'm going to turn them into a hat. When we
Right.
see a cow, we don't say I'm going to make them into a steak. When we see a chicken, we don't think about them being a nugget or an egg machine. So basically, respecting the bodily autonomy and whatever, call it God-given or call it whatever purpose those animals have without trying to impose a purpose or meaning to the lives of those animals.
That's definitely a good way to put it. That alone would make me want to be like, that makes a lot of sense. Like maybe I should convert over to veganism.
So what I would say is if your values align with that and your actions don't, you do feel a pressure within to move to that direction because there's something called cognitive dissonance in psychology where there's this certain discomfort where if your actions are out of line with your values, you either have to adjust your values to kind of like align with your actions or your actions need to change basically so that your values, like if you have vegan values, are no longer butting up against, like, when you think about at the end of the day, when you close your eyes, there's this idea, a clear conscience makes a comfortable bed. It's from a song actually by an artist named Diesel Automatic. Anyway, credit to Diesel. But yeah, so I guess what I would ask you is, you mentioned protein, right? So
Yeah.
do you know kind of plant sources of protein that vegans would?
I
So beans are a huge one, like lentils, azuki beans, mung beans, split peas, that kind of thing. Tofu is a big source of protein, but also like other soy products like tempeh is one. And then there's like seitan too. If you don't have an issue with gluten, seitan is one that a lot of people prefer. It's made from meat. I believe it actually originated from China as like a mock duck meat like long ago. It's basically like filtered flour with the protein part remaining, and then that's kind of like churned and churned until it forms this like really thick batter that then cooks up kind of like a roast.
Oh, okay.
But the biggest thing to remember is that once your why is strong enough, the how is pretty easy. You can kind of like go to the grocery store, experiment with different stuff. You might be reading labels a lot at first, maybe for the first month or two. And of course, if you see a new product that you've never seen before. But once you kind of get used to the different things, like, all right, I eat stuff from this section, eat stuff from that section. And of course, the healthiest thing, instead of kind of going to like more animal alternative type things, which are obviously fine in moderation. And also, when you're maybe transitioning toward veganism and you want these foods to kind of satisfy a cultural yearning, but also maybe just like occasionally to supplement your protein a little bit, it's fine. But the healthiest things are just our produce, right? Like the fruits, veggies, the fresh stuff. So like not the middle of the grocery store, but like, the stuff that actually goes bad if you don't eat it.
Right.
Live food. So I think, you're there as far as the ethics go, believing that we ought to live without exploiting animals. It's really that simple. There's a huge misconception where people think it's a diet. So if you do kind of put this ethical practice into action, you'll find that there are people who will say that they're vegan, but then they'll go and buy like cow skin products, or they'll buy products tested on animals. Of course, that's not in line with veganism, because like you wouldn't be a feminist and then like still like torture women psychologically, for example, even if you just stop beating them or something like that. You know what I mean? But I appreciate your stopping. And to just give you some information, if I could, this is from an organization called Vegan Outreach. So they basically just have some information. There's information about like eating out and stuff like that too, like restaurants and things like that, or grocery store products. Also, I'd encourage you to check out a documentary called Dominion. If you search on YouTube, Dominion 2018, this is it's an Australian documentary, but it talks about standard practices, standard practices, and talks about it too. I believe it's narrated by Joaquin Phoenix, and basically show you like it's not like a torture reel kind of thing. It's actually just the day in and day out standard practices of what's happening to other animals, and you can it's terrifying to see like a close up of an animal, to see the fear in their eyes, especially if you've met these animals like I have. Like I've met cows, pigs, chickens, turkeys, etc. on sanctuaries where they're just like chilling basically in a large backyard, and then to think about them in this situation where they can smell the blood, they can hear the screams of their family members dying. I would encourage you also, if you do end up going vegan, to get active for animals, so to use your voice. If you think about atrocities throughout history, like whether it was any kind of human slavery, whether that was like what was done to the people in the Holocaust, for example, the Nazi Holocaust and the concentration camps. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, there were animals confined, non-human animals confined in those concentration camps, who were basically left there when the humans were liberated. So many people actually believe that whole thing even happened by humans practicing on other animals. Like think about a kid, like if a kid is torturing animals, you're like, man, something is messed up with this kid. Why are they torturing animals? But then we teach them, like, this is the dog, they're the friend. This on the table, that's the turkey. They get killed every Thanksgiving.
Right.
So we have speciesism. It's human supremacy. So that's what veganism is against. So basically, what I would also ask you to think about is basically that it's the purest form of racism, because it's assigning different value to other beings based on size, shape, and color. It's just, they're different types of DNA than me, so they get sent to the gas chamber. Right. But these ones, they're maybe cute, or I can benefit more from their companionship, and they get to live. But I don't want to also give the impression that dogs are treated fairly, because they're also, they're bred into confinement. They're treated like objects. They're still tested on. We practice medical violence on them by spaying and neutering them. Like neutering them removes the testicles. It's not like just a vasectomy. So we do really messed up stuff to dogs as well as a human collective. But yeah, veganism is just one step in that direction toward removing ourselves from the equation of the commodification and violence that results from that commodification on animals. And then if we can get active and speak up for animals, then we're kind of part of that tide that's the anti-human supremacy tide. Thank you so much for stopping.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, what's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, I'm Haz. And my YouTube channel is called Haz Vegan. So if you want to check it out, it's just H-A-Z, vegan, one word. And I'd encourage you again to check out Dominion.
I will. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for stopping. All right, you two have a good one. Stay cool. All right. Well, I think that was a good conversation as well. I think Chip is here. And I think that Sarah might actually be going vegan. I think I had a really great feeling about that. I think that was a situation where you kind of meet somebody right when they're at the point where that information is just waiting to be uncovered for them. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. Thank you guys for stopping. Yeah, it was two great combos. Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Alicia. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. But thank you guys for stopping. I will be out again tomorrow, so I forget what time, but do be on the lookout for that as well. Thank you guys all for being here. Hope you have a great vegan day. Take care, and viva la vegan resistance. All right.